and we'll go on to the last talk in this particular session. Simon Drake, Lunar Resource Registry.
Hi, soundcheck. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
All right, great. Okay, yes, I'm Simon Drake, Lunar Resources Registry. We plan to be the bridge between what this community is doing and the mining industry and energy and infrastructure industry. So next slide, please. Okay, this quickly covers there is a need for what is a registry. As far as we're concerned, there's a lunar scientist in this community. There's the space agencies who are pushing forward. There's terrestrial mining. They really want to know how they can invest in lunar resources. Then there's the space entrepreneurs on the right. They need some certainty of resources and reserves to underpin their business models. Next slide. We set up a registry, and we set up a public registry where we on our maps, we mapped actual landers, impact zones, heritage, and planned missions coming up in the next up to the next 10 years. So from a mapping point of view, this was important because before you start looking for resources, you need to know who is already there, because as they are already there, they are offered some protection, you could say, under our Outer Space Treaty of non-interference. So next slide, please. So we've already started our what I call our 3D map. We divide it into public info, such as actual presence, right down to planned science locations and what we call development zones, where there is a potential for a commercial development zone of resource extraction. Under that comes our commercial registrations, where we start looking at areas, precise areas as potentials for resources, infrastructure, and energy. Infrastructure supports a resource operation. Energy also supports an infrastructure and a resource operation. So next slide, please. This is an example one we did with a partner company, Lunar Station, where we looked at the iron distribution from a crater. And we divided up as you would at a mining site, where around the crater was, from what we could tell, some iron kicked up into the regolith. So we divided it up into registrations, which are a uniform 1 kilometre square. And to the left, we made infrastructure. One was a basic, landing port, and the other one to the north of it is what I call a refuse tip. A lot of mine site regulation requires that they take into account environmental damage and how to clean it up. So we're proactive in trying to understand that if you plan a mine site, you've got to clean up. Next slide, please. As we see it, the mining and energy industries, they have the access to capital, and they need to know of the 10,000, I call it, if you look at the numbers, it could be any number, it could be 20,000 or 5,000. Of the 10,000 locations of probable resources, we need to whittle that down to 1,000 and get that down to 100, and then comes the CubeSat swarm of land, is to turn that resource into a proven and probably a commercial level operation. So our business is to present a resources registry that enables mining and energy companies to step up and say, at the 1,000 level, we're interested, but we're more interested in the top 100. Now, to go from 1,000, or even to go from 10,000 to 1,000 to the top 100, it is up to the lunar scientist community, I'll just put that as a generalization, to come forward and say, we know where to go, and we're gonna hand kick some targets. So next slide, please. On the right, you're probably familiar with these terms you've just seen in other presentations, where, as I see it, the 1,000 probable resource locations through sampling get to a proven state and a commercial state. On the left-hand side, back to the lunar scientists, we've been trying to work out how to incorporate, as in the geologists in the mining industry, their reason for providing certain information into a registration, which gets a mining company interested. So at the moment, our product is what I call a registration. It is not a right in any way, because there's also, Outer Space Treaty and all those different laws. But through extraction, there is a commercial means of revenue. So we keep that in mind. Next slide, please. This is the back end of our system. Behind our system is a database, and this is probably more important for what we're talking about now. When you go about rating resources, and I think the last speaker was talking about trying to get it down to 30 items. From my point of view, our business is a database where we display a map, where we have registrations, and registrations is our product to try and get a mining company to step up, to show some commercial interest, to try and tag a site within the legal frameworks, to in some way sponsor or joint venture a landing mission. They need certainty of where they're going. So we need some kind of, from our side, a way of documenting that this resource location has the value that they're offering. Now, it might not be the one. It might be a case that you have to land 10 and only 5 come up with a resource that is commercial. So on the database side, I think of now in our resources registry, as we continually build our database, how we can incorporate the geological data that enables us to prove to a mining company that this particular location on the curve is the place to be, and that's why they should be funding admission to that location. Now, because we are swimming in data, which is a good thing, I think the case now is to kind of slimline and put that data into a more succinct framework for a mining or energy company that is a lot easier for them to understand, because their system of terrestrial mining is well established over thousands of years, and they have it as a fine science. So we have to start speaking their language on a commercial level in order to get them interested. I do talk to them; they are interested, but they're not really coming over the line at the moment. They want to know. It's all about reserves, and because at this stage from a mining point of view, we're still at the drilling stage. We're not even there yet. So we have to get to the drilling stage. Because it's the moon, to me, the drilling stage is CubeSat swarms, sampling, and that's the next step. So our role is to bridge the science and the miners and come up with a way of making these commercial ventures possible. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you, Simon. That is indeed it.